Hey everybody, welcome to Recovery TV. In this segment, we're going to talk about will I ever be able to trust again after infidelity. So you don't want to miss this, so stay with me. Thank you for tuning in to Recovery TV. If this is your first time here, we are here to help provide you with tips, resources, and general information as you navigate through life, especially when life hasn't been so kind to you. So if that sounds interesting to you, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and click that bell so that you can be notified as we post more helpful videos. In this segment of Recovery TV, we are going to revisit the topic of betrayal trauma. Recently, my colleague and I did a video addressing the question of what is betrayal trauma, and I'll make sure I put a link to it right here in the cards of this video. But in this segment, we are specifically going to address the question of will I ever be able to trust again after I have discovered infidelity in my relationship. My colleague and I do a live show on Facebook called Recovery TV Live, and you can tune in to that on Facebook. I'll make sure I put a link in the description of this video below. And we usually post the rebroadcast to YouTube, but we had some glitches in this last video where we were talking about betrayal trauma. So I'm going to show you a clip of that episode where my colleague Carrie and I are discussing this idea of will I ever be able to trust again, because that is a question that many spouses and partners are asking themselves, especially after the initial discovery of infidelity in their relationships. So without further ado, let's roll that clip. Welcome to Recovery TV Live. Stay with us because we are going to talk about this concept of betrayal trauma and how you will feel like you can trust again. So you're in a relationship and you find out some really terrible news about something your spouse partner was doing, and then a certain question comes up that we hear a lot, and that question is, will I ever be able to trust again? And this is what we really wanted to get into today.
Right,
the most.
right. And just asking that question is such a vulnerable experience.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think when clients often ask that, I mean, you can see the emotions just start to well up, because it's the most fearful thing in the world to entertain the idea that I will never have that comfort, that safety in this world again.
Right. And that kind of speaks to one of the reasons we wanted to talk about trust, which is usually in the beginning of a relationship, especially if you're younger, when you start that relationship, trust is just there. It's implied. It's easy. You have feelings for this person, they have feelings for you, and trust comes with those feelings. And once you've experienced a betrayal trauma, that trust has been, sometimes people even use the word shattered. And so what arrived organically and naturally and felt comfortable is gone. And everybody also knows that to have a relationship you have to have trust, any kind of relationship. And so something is gone that is absolutely essential to a relationship, and you don't know how to get it back.
Yeah.
People really feel very desperate in that moment.
Yes. And we want you to know that if you're going through that, or you know someone that is, that feeling is very real. A lot of people are asking that question because they're feeling the exact same way. But we want you to know that yes, that you can learn to trust again. It won't be this way forever.
Right.
But it's not just going to happen to you. There's some work to be done to kind of get that process rolling.
Right.
It's just definitely not fun in the beginning.
No, it's not fun. It really does challenge everything that you kind of have experienced about it. You have to work at something that maybe you didn't have to work at before.
Exactly, right. And so I'm going to show you guys, put a graphic here on the screen, let you kind of look at this just for a minute. It's what we call transitional distrust. And what we mean by transitional distrust is the first thing that's implied here is that when you're in this space after discovery of infidelity, there's not an option for trust right now. Distrust is where you're at. That's what your relationship's going to have. So let me get us back up there and so they can see that there. And so I'm going to keep that on the screen for a little bit so you can kind of understand what we're talking about here. But that's something we talk to couples a lot about is understanding that you're not in a trusting relationship for a period of time.
Right.
Right.
It's kind of like going ahead and owning the reality. Okay, you don't trust somebody. Let's just go ahead and call it out. But we're going to add the word transitional in there because we're wanting that to change over time.
Yes, that's the second thing that definitely wanted to make sense.
Okay.
That it implies, right? That transitional means that it's not forever.
It's not forever, right. But right now, not trusting is maybe the smartest, the safest, the most realistic space to be in. It also helps people kind of remove judgment from themselves or not take on the judgment from your partner that says, can't you just trust me? It's only a few things. We've been together a long time. I've always been honest, et cetera, et cetera. And to say right now, no, you're not going to be trusted if you're the one who stepped out, right? Or kept the secrets. And just kind of to own the reality of that, right? It's very important, especially in managing the anxiety around this, to be realistic about what you're feeling, but to put parameters around it.
Right. And I think it's important for couples to know that are going through this that they got to give themselves permission to be in a relationship where trust is damaged for a while, and understand that even though it might feel like the world around you is crumbling, it's not. Like it's often part of life. It's often. I'm not saying that everybody who is in a committed relationship experiences infidelity or something, but a lot of times, most people, if you've been married a good number of years, you're going to experience some kind of deficits in the trust area of the relationship that's troubling for most people.
Upsetting.
The more we deny that, I think it keeps us stuck in that same space. But if we kind of give ourselves permission that this is just where we're at right now, and there's not a lot of trust there.
Right.
Especially on the other side of infidelity, sex addiction, big secrets that are kept.
Right, absolutely.
And so as you can see in the graphic that I have on your screen, you can see there's a world that is that's kind of X'd out there, and what that's symbolizing is there was a world that you came from that used to make sense to you, and it doesn't anymore, and you don't trust it anymore.
Right.
And then you see the one with the question mark, and that's where you're moving to. It's a world that you're going to ultimately operate in and function in, but there's a lot of ambiguity there. The rules haven't been written yet. You don't really understand how roles and relationships are working in that space yet. So there's a lot of fear in ambiguity.
Absolutely. There's also hope in that it can be new.
That's right.
But fear usually permeates the beginning of this
in the
process.
Beginning, absolutely.
Sure.
So when we're talking about transitional distrust, and if you're just now tuning in, we are talking about the concept of trust and how that works when a couple has experienced the trauma of betrayal, and there you can see the arrow pointing back to the world that's been X'd out, and that's a type of trust or distrust, that we say the hell no type. And basically we put that up there to that's usually the expression the betrayed spouse has or partner has when they're experiencing more of the same behavior. So there's a lot of certainty in the old way of doing things, because the certainty is that I do not want to go back to that because I don't trust it.
Right.
So when you see behaviors coming from your partner or spouse that is familiar, you kind of just know with certainty, like no way are we going to do that.
Right, and you respond often with a lot of anger, fear, frustration, anxiety, a lot of emotion, and this feels too familiar. Things aren't okay. I don't want it to feel like it used to, because if it feels like it used to, then that means the bad stuff is happening.
Right.
That's the programming.
Exactly. That's a good way of putting it. Yeah. And then but there is a type of distrust we do want our clients to experience.
Right.
And you can see that on the other side of the graphic, and it's the experience of something new and different. But when you have that experience, it's usually because it's still part of not trusting, so it's not a fun experience by no means.
Right.
So usually it's kind of a deer in the headlights look of kind of, what the hell? Like, what is this? I don't trust it. Because remember, this isn't trust, this is distrust.
Right. It's perplexing.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And so one of the big things that we work on with clients in making this transition is looking for peace of mind.
Right.
Because even if you know you can't have the familiar, but you're uncertain about the future, what we can try and do is start working towards that peace of mind. Right?
Yeah.
And that's part of the transition. And using the distrust, so to speak, to set those parameters to what do you need to have some peace of mind.
And there are some things that we do to work with our clients to put what we call it a plan for peace of mind.
Right.
That we'll help develop with our clients to give them some semblance of comfort and safety. It's by no means, and we make sure we tell them this, that it's by no means are they going to have 100% peace.
Right.
Yeah. And but it just gives some semblance of peace where it makes the work doable.
Right. Well, and it's hard because when you talk to, I'm sure this is something you've run into as a therapist, Josh, that when people come in and say, I want to trust, that's such an abstract concept. That's such an emotional thing. I want to feel like I can trust somebody. Well, how do we know? And part of our job is to create some structure around, well, how do we build towards trust? How do we actually say, this is me learning to trust. This is me being worthy of trust, being trustworthy. And those things we have to nail down, or you can get stuck in that old world example there of, well, I don't know what it is. And so there's no movement.
Right. And so a couple things we, just to kind of reiterate with that, is that you don't get trust right now in the relationship. But one way, kind of what Carrie was talking about, one way you can tell you're moving forward is if you're experiencing more of the deer in the headlights type of distrust, the new and different, because you know with certainty that you don't want that other. And so when the relationship starts to feel different, you start to experience new behaviors, new ideals, you're experiencing your spouse or partner in different ways, you still probably aren't going to trust it in the beginning. It's going to make you raise your eyebrows.
Right.
But that's often a sign for us as therapists that we're moving in the right direction.
So when clients come into us and say, they never used to tell me when they were upset, but now they do, and they don't know how to handle it, progress. Right?
Exactly.
Or my partner used to spend a lot of time at work and now they're home a lot more. I don't know what that is about. All those are examples of this. I don't know how to respond to this newness, but how we sit in our office and think that's progress.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So we wanted to show you guys that, so to know that that's the first step is really accepting that your relationship is not operating with trust, a lot of trust involved in it, and that's okay. But there is a type of distrust that we want to see from our clients as they move forward.
Right.
And then trust, the way I kind of describe it, I don't know if you can see my hands here, that this is what I would say healthy trust looks like in a relationship. And then when infidelity or some kind of betrayal trauma hits, it severs the relationship like this. And as you start learning to organically grow this way, trust starts to rebuild. You start to feel safer. But it's complicated. It won't feel like it did before.
Right.
But it will. You can feel safe again in the relationship.
Right. And really, even as therapists, what we're hoping for clients is to build an even maybe deeper sense of intimacy.
Right.
Sharing in the darkness of yourself and your mistakes is actually a way to really connect with somebody else.
Exactly. And so some of the things that we actually do, I mean, you think about the concept of betrayal trauma, is that it's a traumatic event. And so we actually, with our clients, we do a lot of trauma work, and we have a certain groups that we do. We also do a weekend couples intensive for betrayal trauma, as you can see on your screen. And so, and we're not the only place in the world that does things like that.
No.
So, but a lot of people are unaware that those things exist.
Right. And we would really encourage you, if you are wondering about this or have questions about it, don't suffer and wonder. Reach out to somebody, another professional that can help you. The degree to which you need professional help is different for every relationship and every person.
Right.
But there's help available.
Yes. Once again, thank you for tuning in to Recovery TV. And as always, I've put links into the description of this video below of some therapist directories, just in case you are in search of a therapist to help you through your relationship and your struggles in life. And again, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you like what you saw. And we'll see you back here next time. Thanks.